Can you imagine the awe inside?
Look, we're bracelet buddies.
That's what they'll call us. Name the show.
His evil son, played by Joaquin Phoenix. He was also real.
Because I think you all know I'm a bit funny about the P word. Oh, no.
Pooling. Everybody. Just. Why is it that we build a world completely reliant on Wi-Fi?
Oh gosh, don't.
Control yourself.
Oh.
Because we survived for millennia without this as being a problem.
I know.
But
2 or 3 miles. Look at these 2 lovely cows. They're all furry.
because we're all about the knitting and the adventures and the cooking and the yarn dyeing.
Yes.
Sadly, the only thing you need is Wi-Fi so you can watch. Welcome, everybody, to the Bakery Bears video show featuring a brand new cast on from me.
Oh, you didn't say what I thought you were going to say.
No, I know. How exciting is that? Aren't you glad you tuned in?
Yes.
Oh yes, it's a rare occurrence. But yes, I've cast on something new.
Wow.
And it's very exciting too, because my cast on is inspired by what the show is actually featuring. And that is the next episode of Walking the Wall.
Yes.
Oh yes, at the start of this year, we began a quest, starting in the east and working across to the west. My goodness, it sounds like a song.
It did, that rhymed, didn't it?
It did. It was perfect. And it's the 5th episode, so we've got quite a long way in now.
Wow.
And you know what that means? We've got to the good stuff, baby. Last time,
It's
of
a
course,
good one.
we
It's
were
a
in
good
Verkavicium last time, Housted's fort.
Yeah.
And that was the point where the wall starts to climb up onto the Great Windsill. This one is without doubt the most visited and popular spot on all of Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's got nothing to do with the Romans.
No.
All will be revealed.
Hollywood, baby.
Oh yes, all will be revealed later on in the show.
Yeah.
As Kays says, it's very exciting actually. It was also very warm. Well, do you know what? It was one of those funny days.
Shall we be English and talk about the weather?
No, it was one of those funny days where the breeze was cool, but the sun was unrelenting.
Baking. It's
I
been
think
so hot.
Those are the days you get caught out, especially when you're on the beach on a final day on a resort holiday.
Are you talking about me when I was like 21? I went to Corfu when I was 21, and yeah, it was the last day, and I was on the beach. It was really pebbly beach, I seem to remember, which is annoying, isn't it? Pebbly beaches. But I thought, oh, it's last day, you know, cool breeze, it's lovely. And I went in the sea and I came back out and I didn't put sun cream back on my face.
Oh, no.
And I got blisters. And what was worse, so I had blisters on my nose and my chin here, do you know where it hits you? The worst thing was, we flew back on a Saturday, I think it was, or a Sunday, and I had to go to work on the Monday with like this face. It wasn't a good look.
Oh dear.
Don't do that, everyone.
Oh dear. Sun cream all the way.
Yes.
Yes, I slap it on even before I go running.
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
factor 50. And you still colour, you know, you really, you even catch the sun even with that on.
I did actually on...
Take care, everyone, in that sun.
Yes. On the walk today, this is a walk that we've done half of before. We've not done the full one before, but we've done half of it before.
We have.
But famously, it's the one where Bryony and I got absolutely covered in midgie bites.
Yeah, it was awful.
And they didn't go anywhere near Kay.
No.
Which was, I think it must be perfume.
Yeah, I think it was like perfume or body cream or something that they didn't like. But also, we found out that they tend to go for redheads. Is that right?
I don't know.
I'm sure you told me that one time.
Maybe so.
No, blood type. That was it.
Yes, they do.
I don't know how they can tell what your blood type is. I've no idea what my blood type is.
Maybe they can smell it.
Maybe they can. Yeah, but you always get terribly.
Well, before I went, as you know, long-term viewers will know, prior to me doing any of these adventures, I cover myself in Avon Skin So Soft. And do you know what? The absolute blighters got me. They got me right there, which of course is a spot which I would have missed when I'm spraying. They also got me right here, right on the sort of clothes line.
Clothesline, yeah.
So yes, I didn't get covered, but they still found the little bits which I hadn't managed to hit with the Avon Skin So Soft. It is, though, stupendous stuff.
It's good stuff.
Do you remember, for those of you who haven't heard me say before, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We are, though, of course, now 2 weeks into our amazing Christmas in July knit-along as well.
Yes.
It's our summer of stitching.
And I've got a new Christmas in July cast on as well.
Amazing.
So I've got 2 Christmas in July things to show you today. That's exciting, isn't it?
That is very cool. And of course, as it's our summer of stitching, we are, as I've mentioned, doing the lovely knit-along right now for everyone. But for our Baker Bear patrons, we've done so much already. We've done the Moonstruck lace knitting socks, your Time Socks tutorial, lots of other special things going on. But now we're into, oh yes, for the first time ever, Kay is doing it's like a 2-month beginner to intermediate hand embroidery course. And this is what you're making. Show them.
Oh, well, this is a new bag that I made. Do you know, I've shown you the first bag that I made with the first piece that I did. Yes. But the second piece that I actually created doing the filming of the series, I've now made into a Christmas bag.
Oh, wow.
And I love it so much.
Look at this.
My little bag. Oh, it's a bit creased because I've had it, I've been pulling the drawstrings, so it's a little bit creased there. But I used all of this fabric. Isn't it fun?
It is. It's phenomenal.
It's Liberty quilting cotton.
Wow.
Not the lawn. I'm not keen on the Liberty Tana lawn. I think if I was making clothes, that'd be lovely. I'm not so keen on it for sort of sewing bags. But the quilting cotton of Liberty, I absolutely love. It's gorgeous fabric. And this was a whole range of festive. You know how they do like a range, don't they? And it's called something. I can't remember what it was called, but I'm sure if you look around you'll find it. So yeah, I made this little drawstring bag. And I've got little just ribbons with snowflakes on. And I love it.
This is the piece which...
This is the piece that you're all going to be stitching.
And we're well into it now. Introduction's done, and we had a couple... Basically what Kay's done is she's done introductory show, really. It's a half-hour show where she takes you through everything that's going to be covered. We're now into the sort of beginner section where you're showing little short videos of all the skills that you need to be able to do it.
Yeah, there's separate little videos of all of the stitches, so that if you're completely brand new to hand embroidery,
or if you need a reminder.
Lots
of people have been saying that, actually, it's been lovely. So many people have been commenting and saying, I used to do this with my mum and my grandma when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And it's just so wonderful to be reminded of it, which is so great.
So, before you dive in and do the actual piece itself, you can practice the stitches. So there's little short videos of each of the stitches. I think there's 5 or 6 stitches that we use. And you can practice those before then we start on the actual piece.
So exciting.
Yeah, great fun.
Now, have you noticed something? Yes, there's something dangling off my wrist.
Oh, gosh. The bracelet saga, everyone. Look what Dan's got.
Can you believe it?
And I've got mine on. And I feel weird. I haven't got my wedding ring on.
Look. Look, we're bracelet buddies.
That's what they'll call us. Name the show. Anybody out there?
It's Friends, of course. I think it's called The One with the Prom Video.
Oh, right.
Yes, I think that's the episode that it's from.
And it's where Joey buys Chandler like this gold bracelet. It's hilarious.
It's really cool.
But I'm not wearing...
Ours are a bit less ostentatious, I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, but I've not got a wedding ring on at the minute because I've got some weird eczema thing going on my hand, driving me mad, itchy madness. So I can't wear my wedding ring at the minute, so I feel weird going out of the house. I've kind of like covering my hand up because I don't want people to think I'm not married.
But
Is that not bizarre?
I said to Kay, what you should do is whenever you have to talk to anyone, just start off with that.
And say, look, I know I've not got a ring on, but I am married.
Just start with, I am married,
Just feel weird without it on.
She went to the post office the other day and you were like...
Well, they've changed all the post office. I'm not going to go on about the post office, but I am unhappy with the British post office.
Well, no, I don't think it's necessarily the post office.
It is the post office. It is the post office that closed it because it costs more money.
Oh, right.
Post offices in this country now tend to be within other shops.
Oh, okay. Right.
And that's what they've done. We had a beautiful post office, gorgeous ladies in there, gone in for years. They closed it and moved it into the little bit dodgy corner shop across the road, and this young sort of fella was on the tills, and I'm like, where's my post office ladies? I'm not very happy about this. But anyway, I am still married. But yes, we've got the bracelets. Dan's arrived, and it is the large one.
Can you believe it? Yes, okay. They may not have apologised. They may not have told us if we had 2 mediums or two larges. It may have been a complete shot in the dark that we contacted them and said, look, they're both the same size. One does not fit my husband. So we're assuming that you've sent us 2 mediums. Could we have a large one? Thankfully, all our guesses were correct.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
No, they haven't refunded my postage. Even though they said, we will refund your postage. I can't be bothered.
I was going to say,
look,
life is way too short.
Yes. Just keep it.
And we will just never shop with you again.
No, absolutely not.
And we will, of course, not tell you what they're called, because if we did...
No, we don't do that.
No, if we did, people might go look on the shop and buy.
Well, that's true. You might.
Don't do that.
I want you doing that.
You'll get the worst service in the history.
Most terrible service
of the world
I've received in many a year. Yes. But we're very happy. We've got bracelets, and Dan's beads, they're tiger eyes. And somebody informed me actually that they are a stone. Someone said they were a crystal, but I looked it up and I think they might be a stone. I'm not sure if it's some form of crystal, but I think they're classed as a stone. Anyway, Dan's beads are slightly bigger than mine, and it is a longer bracelet. So we're very happy, aren't we?
Yes, I know, thank goodness. Kay came up with this theory that that's how they tell the difference between the sizes of the bracelets. Can you imagine? Right, okay. We've got to send out a large one and a medium one, right? Go feel the beads. Yeah, which ones feel bigger?
I'm sure whatever system they've got anyway doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Does it?
But no. Speaking of not working, please permit me for just 1 second to have a slightly middle-aged complaint. And that is, why is it that we built a world completely reliant on Wi-Fi?
Oh gosh, don't.
It's true, isn't it?
It's
true.
Absolutely true, and
if your Wi-Fi goes off,
depressing.
So you go out for a walk. You know, we won't even get into the fact that now people get stressed, and I don't blame you, because you know you get used to being in an area when you're out where you've got a mobile reception.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when it goes, you think, oh no. What if I need to phone someone?
The world's going to end because I've not got Wi-Fi.
What if I need to phone 999? Or, do you know what I mean?
I do know.
And it's so silly because we survived for millennia without this as being a problem.
I know.
But then we experienced the other day, and how strange is this? It went off at exactly the same time on each night.
2 nights running.
So there was nothing wrong in our house.
No, it wasn't us
external.
in the house.
2 nights running, goes off. And of course, no one ever wants to admit, companies, they don't want to admit, oh yes, it's down. Because if people see that it's down, new customers will then think, oh no, I'm not going to go with them.
It was there.
So, it's like discovering alchemy, turning base metals into gold. Trying to find out if the problem is outside or inside. And what's funny is, even when you're talking to the people, even though you can't talk to anyone, you talk to computers.
Yes.
So you're talking to the computer, and the computer is still trying to point the finger at you. Even though then eventually, when you wade through all the guff and rubbish, it does finally admit, oh yes, a problem has been located, and we don't need to come into your house to fix it. Don't you love that sentence?
In other words, the problem's not with you, it's us.
We've got to remember that, haven't we? Remember that, That's such a great answer. Yes, we found the problem and we won't need to come into your house to fix it.
Yeah, in other words, that makes it sound like it's your problem.
Yes. Genius. But yet, thankfully, shall I tell you what I've learned from now on? And I've done it, how long will this last? But since this happened... Because, if it goes down, you can't watch anything. You can't do anything.
Everybody streams everything these days. We do the same thing.
You're forced to. Like, dude, well...
Well, you know, so anyway, we watched a film that that was downloaded on my iPad.
To your tiny iPad.
On my little iPad mini. We were watching Murder on the Orient Express. I've got that downloaded, so we just watched that. And it was great, and it was fine, you know. But it does sort of make you think, what on earth have we done to this world?
It's insane. It is insane.
Be so reliant and just feel so lost when we haven't got something that actually, like Dan said, we survived for millions of years without.
And listen to this, how funny is this? You know, I said everything goes to pot. Kay walks by our air conditioning unit and says, why is it flashing?
Oh, yeah.
Because the Wi-Fi's off. If the air conditioner doesn't like it.
I know. And I was like, it wasn't an air conditioner, it's the air purifier.
The air purifier. Sorry.
We have like a purifier for allergies. It's really good, actually.
Do you know the worrying thing is? Air conditioners now are Wi-Fi based.
Why does everything have to be Wi-Fi based? I don't understand.
Have you seen the fridges that are Wi-Fi based?
No, I don't even want to know.
Do you know why? Do you know why that is? You can get fridges now that have a camera in them, so you can see inside your fridge. You log on to your fridge if you're in the shop and you want to check what you've got in.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're not.
Just write a list before you go shopping. It's just a thought.
There is...
It's like cars these days, though, isn't it? They're computers, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like when you take your car, they hook it up to a computer and do a diagnostic.
And run all these checks.
And run, like, diagnostics. Yeah. My car, they lift the bonnet.
Yeah, and get on. Get your work, you know, go for it. And it is better that way, isn't it? Because when it's that way, you can fix it without needing, you know, computers.
Well, he always says that my car, because it's really old, it's just a car that, you know, is...
I just imagined
is easier to fix.
A nightmarish problem. Imagine you took your car into the garage and they had to hook it up to the computer.
And the
Wi-Fi was down. Sorry, can't fix it. Computer says no.
Oh, it's insane. I want to go and live in a cave like Ayla. That's all I'm saying.
Look, all I'm saying is this show has nothing to do with any of that, because we're all about the knitting and the adventures and the cooking and the yarn dyeing.
Yes.
Sadly, the only thing you need is Wi-Fi so you can watch. But look, please do remember.
Oh, God.
It's a good point for me
Look, you've got to laugh at yourself, haven't you?
You do, but it's a good point for me to remind everyone that you can download this show from iTunes.
Yes.
So we do upload.
Go and download it so that
iTunes and also Podbean. So.
And if you're going on holiday, you might want to do that because not everywhere has Wi-Fi. Even though most places, holiday cottages, says we have Wi-Fi, and you get there and there's no Wi-Fi.
Yes.
We've had that
or it works for a bit and then stops.
Or even a telephone signal.
No. The best part is when they say there's a Wi-Fi and it's so slow it won't do anything.
Yeah, because they're not lying. There is a Wi-Fi. Yes. It's just that it's
rubbish.
Utterly useless.
It's from 1972. That's enough waffle, because we have too many lovely things to show you. So I think without further ado, I should say, Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Right, so the first thing is in my lovely bag that I showed you, and it's a new Christmas in July cast on.
Oh, lovely.
I really wanted to knit a Christmas pair of socks during our knit along, and I've had this yarn since the back end of last year. I bought it, I don't know, October time-ish, I think. But there was a delay in it arriving. I forget the reason why now. But it was all fine. But it meant it didn't arrive until we were into December. And I tend to enjoy knitting things slightly out of season so that I'm kind of looking forward to that season, if that makes sense, rather than whilst you're right in the midst of it.
Can I just say... I don't particularly enjoy knitting huge let-lopey jumpers in a really hot summer.
Well, I've had to abandon my bedtime blanket because it's so big now that I just can't have it on my lap when at night time, because it's just been so blinking hot lately. It's awful. No air conditioning, everyone in this country. So back to the socks. I was looking through my stash up here and I came across this yarn. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to use that. And I'm getting a sock blocker because I have actually finished a sock. I loved knitting it that much that I've actually finished a sock quite quickly, and I'm on the second. But I bought a kit. I think it would be classed as a kit. Not sure it's really a kit. It was a sock set from Molly at a homespun house, and it was like a mystery one when you bought it. It was Christmas at Hogwarts 2021. So I didn't know what I was going to get. So it's a sock set with 100 grams and 20 gram mini. And then there's a progress keeper as well. So it's Homespun House. and it's just called Christmas at Hogwarts. So I didn't know what to expect really at all. Like I said, it came in December and I was just kind of a bit past Christmas. I tend to get past Christmas once we're into December. So I just thought I'll save it. And I picked it up this time when I was looking through and I thought, yes, the time is right to knit this up. And I wasn't sure how it was going to knit up. You know, I'm a bit funny about how yarns knit up. I'm here to say it's lovely. So this was the colour. It's like a mixture of really lovely kind of a foresty sort of mossy green with like speckles of red, and there's a little bit of like a more of a emerald sort of green in there as well in the speckles. And then the mini you got was this bright red. So they're really nice together. So very festive. And it's a really nice base. I will say that I'm really enjoying the base. It's soft sock, which is a 75-25, but it's really plump. It very much reminds me of the 85-15 that I really like. It's not the same 75-25 that is the more kind of standard hand-dyed yarn base. I think you'll all know the base that I mean. It's not that at all. It's really plump, really soft. I have experienced before, because Molly's in Germany, so I'm presuming she gets her stock from Germany, but I have experienced before German yarn bases, because there's another dyer as well, Nicole C. Mendez, and she uses a really gorgeous base. It might be the same, I don't know, but it's definitely different than the sort of more standard 75-25. It's really plump, it's soft, it's bouncy, it's really nice. And I've finished a sock. I really like it. Look, it's doing a stripy thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It is. It's very lovely.
So you know I'm funny about how yarns knit up. I don't need to say, because I think you all know I'm a bit funny about the P word. Oh, no.
Pooling. Everybody. Just control yourself.
Oh. Oh no. Oh, okay. No giggles, no giggles, no giggles. No more giggling. Yes. It hasn't pulled. It's done a cool stripy thing, and I really like it. I really like how it's knit up. So what I did was I used my crunkled pattern, which just looks brilliant with any sock yarn. Any type of dye job on a sock yarn. I don't know how to say that. My mind's gone blank because I had the giggles. But you know what I mean. You know, self-striping, solids and tonals. Stop it. Speckled. I think it just looks good with everything. But what I wanted to do, because I was really liking how it was doing this stripy thing, I didn't want to mess that up with a heel flap and gusset. So I've put in the heel from my lattice top socks, which is a mock short row heel. Doesn't it look lovely? It's so neat. I really love knitting this heel. I've done it several times now.
You should have put that heel in the Jaws socks.
Yeah. And there are a few Jaws themed yarns around at the moment, actually. Right. Somebody let me know about one.
Right.
Yes, I should have done that.
But of course it didn't exist back then.
No, well, it did exist, I just hadn't discovered it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've used it's called a butterfly. I called it a butterfly heel because the shape of it, you actually knit it flat and then sort of rejoin in the round. And the shape of it, when you've knit it, kind of looks like a graphic butterfly, if you like, a more angular butterfly. That's why I called it that. And I really love knitting that heel. It's quick, it's easy. No short rows. I'm not keen on short row heels. I'm not keen on short rows altogether, to be honest. I've done them loads and loads of times and I've tried all the different methods. I'm just not keen on working short rows. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. But this one doesn't use short rows, so I really enjoy it. So I popped that one in and then carried on with the crunkled pattern down the foot and then did my umbrella toe, which is in the crunkled pattern. And I just think it's lovely, isn't it? The red and the green. So festive. So literally the second I finished this one, I cast on the second. And I've only worked a little bit of the rib, but I'm keen to knit it, because sometimes you cast on the second one, don't you, and think, don't know if I want to knit that second one straight away. But I am keen to knit this one, to carry on knitting it, and I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of the base being just so lovely to knit with, and I just love the way it's striping. Now, I mean, I will say that it might look different for different knitters, because we all knit differently, don't we? We all knit to different gauges, we all use different needles, different pattern might change the way that it knits up. So if you've got this yarn and you haven't knit it yet, it might not knit exactly the way it has for me. But I just think it's just so lovely. It's a bit jungly as well somehow. I don't know why I think it's a bit jungly. I just really, really have enjoyed knitting these socks. So second one on the needles, I'm using Magic Loop for these. I'm using my Addy. That kind of works, doesn't it? Addy are German needles. This yarn was dyed in Germany. I'm having a little German festiveness here. I've never been to a German market.
I have.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I went to one in Manchester a few years ago.
Oh, right. Not in Germany then.
No, but
they all come over from Germany, don't they?
Yeah, they all tour around.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah, they are reputed to be amazing. And actually, in my Nigel Slater book, The Christmas Chronicles, I'm sure he goes to a German market in there, and there's some images of it. And they look fantastic with all the glue vine and everything. So yeah, loving my festive socks, and I really want to get them knit within July. I don't want them lingering over that, so I'm going to work on these in the next couple of weeks, and fingers crossed I might have them done for next time, so that'd be fun, won't it?
Yes. Does it all... You would think, wouldn't you, that it all comes down to base at the end of the day? Because if you could do the best dye job in the world, and if it's on a cruddy base...
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I really, really value a really nice yarn base. And, if it cost more, I would pay more happily.
Shall I tell you what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Kath Kidston. Because their stuff looked great, but was terribly made. And it all fell apart.
That's a personal opinion, everyone. Not everyone thinks that. But I did.
Well, hold on a minute.
Because Kath Kidston shops don't exist any longer, I don't think, do they? I think it's just online.
There's a difference between an opinion and fact. And everything that we bought...
I did buy several things from Kath Kidston. I bought a dress. I bought some shoes. I bought a cardigan. And they were all really expensive.
Yeah, became holey very fast.
Yeah, I got holes in the cardigan. The dress, the straps fell off the dress. There was something wrong with the shoes. I forget what now.
But then also their homeware stuff.
I don't really like the homeware. The pottery is really thick.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a very good quality pottery to me.
And that's sort of what I mean. It looks great, but actually the practicalities of using it or wearing it.
Yeah.
So similarly with yarn.
Yeah.
Beautifully dyed on a great base. Marriage made in heaven.
Absolutely. And like I said, for me, the enjoyment of knitting a yarn is probably more than 50% the base, I would say.
And surely that base then is reflected in the enjoyment of the wearing.
Oh yeah, I mean with socks, this looks lovely and squishy. I mean, I haven't washed these yet, so...
Who are they for?
Well, I usually give all my socks to Bryony, don't I? But I'm kind of tempted to keep these for me because I just really like them. I think I might keep them for like Christmas morning.
Cool.
And wear them, or Christmas Eve and wear them.
Yeah, good idea.
So I think I just won't wear them, and I'll keep them for Christmas Eve, because we always get new pyjamas on Christmas Eve, me and Bryony.
And me.
You've never been a pyjama wearer.
No.
I had to get Dan some pyjamas when he was in hospital. Obviously, he's got to wear pyjamas. It was the weirdest experience buying pyjamas for him, because...
And do you know what?
And you didn't wear them, did you?
I did not.
You just wore t-shirts and shorts.
I did.
I seem to remember.
I did.
Because it's just so weird. I think some people are pyjama people and some people are not.
I am not.
You're not a pyjama person at all, no. Me and Bryony are.
Yes.
Bryony would live all day in pyjamas if she could. Yes, so they're my lovely festive socks, loving them. Dan Jones. Oh, gosh, that's good. What's on your needles?
It's my new cast on.
This also looks a bit festive with the colours.
Yeah, definitely.
Doesn't it?
Christmas tree-y.
Yes, Christmas tree-y.
Now then.
That's the word.
Kay just offered, out of the blue, to design me a new cowl. Because I enjoyed so much knitting the lovely Sweetheart cowl.
Yes.
Kay said, I'll design you another one if you like. Because long-term viewers will know, I like to have certain projects on the go at certain times. a space had appeared in my project bag. I'll be showing you that next time, actually, in What's Off Your Needles. And so she offered to design me a cowl, and she offered to design it based on Hadrian's wall. Boom! Now, I've only just cast it on, so I've only just done a bit of the ribbing, but it's lovely, so I'll show you that in a second. But the colour work, it's going to be immense because it's like based on a temple, and there's some wall in there, and it's just phenomenal.
And then there's a floor as well.
Yeah. Tesserae. Mosaic floor, which it just is going to be so much fun to it, and I can't wait to sort of get into it and show you it as I knit through. The yarn though, what's the yarn? It's
the Regia Merino yak.
Which I knit.
The ball bands are in here.
I knitted a few times actually.
Yes, take the other one out. I put them in here because I knew you'd lose them.
I did the socks.
Yeah, you did the socks, but you also used a ball of this in your other cowl, the Sweetheart cowl.
Yeah.
And we know that it is really nice for colour work.
Yeah.
So, and I did have some in my stash. I had quite a few colours in my stash. So one of these I had already, and then because I didn't have a contrast that was dark enough, I bought another one as well. So it's Regia Merino Yak 4-ply, and the two colours are 07514 and 07516. They do have names, but that's the two numbers if you want to go looking.
So I started the ribbing. I did cast it on once, and as usual, I Mobiused it. What a fool. I mean, you know what? I don't know what it is, because I do really concentrate. I didn't do, though, the slippy... Do you know what I think it might have been? Because recently I've always been doing the slippy, stitchy...
To join it.
Swappy, joggy, joiny thing.
Whenever I'm doing anything, a hat or a cowl or anything, I swap the two stitches around. You know, the last stitch and the first stitch before you start knitting, just swap them around and it gives a really nice join.
And since I started doing that, I hadn't been twisting.
Right.
I've got no idea why that is. But I just hadn't. I don't know whether I was concentrating more on the start. Maybe that's it. Maybe that sort of extra focus.
Yeah, maybe.
But for some reason, I think as well... Oh, and I didn't cast on enough stitches either, did I?
Did you not?
No, because I made one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had one stitch too few.
What an idiot.
Which I solved easily for you. That wasn't a problem. But then he noticed he'd Mobiused it. So
actually, do you know what? It was fate.
Yeah.
Because this, I recast it on. I did the swappy stitchy thingy, and look, woohoo!
Yay.
Special twisted ribby. I've got to say, when I first started doing this on first cast on, I found it quite challenging. Whereas now, look at me go! Because I only just recast this on the other day.
I didn't want to do just a plain rib, so I added a little twist into it.
We've said many times, plain ribbing's boring.
Well, it's not boring.
Yes, it is.
I like a plain rib. I like.
You enjoy knitting a plain rib.
Yeah, I don't mind. I actually prefer knit one purl one to knit two purl two. I don't know why I find that.
What's that fully ribbed hat? It was really popular for ages.
A fully ribbed hat?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. There are lots of fully ribbed hats.
See, I thought you knitted it once and you despised every moment of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's different. You know, if I was knitting something and it was literally all rib, I think I might want to just...
Like completely ribbed socks.
Poke my eyes out.
You love knitting completely ribbed socks.
Look, it's a testament to how much I must love you to knit you ribbed socks, that's all I'm saying.
So, it's my new cast on, only a little way in, so hopefully next time you'll get to see some gorgeous colour work.
Isn't that colour lovely?
And it's going to look tremendous.
Oh, it's like a sort of limey, mossy, licheny green, and we've got this one.
Perfect.
To go with it, how lovely is that?
So this
yummy.
is the Hadrians cowl designed by Kay. Woohoo!
That's the working title. I'm sure I might give it a different...
Well, yeah, well, that's okay.
So...
I can deal with that.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mess, isn't it?
You could tell us what else is on your needles.
So, it's my next, or my other, I don't have three.
Christmas back again.
I know, it's my other Christmas in July project. And
this is my Christmas July project, because I cast this on in July. Woohoo!
yes. You won't finish it in July, though, will
Yeah,
you?
but we don't have to.
No, you don't
Aha.
have to. If you want to join in, you don't have to finish it. There was a comment, actually, from someone who said something like, and I don't know if I was interpreting it the wrong way, and I hope people don't think this, but there was a comment from someone on that thread, and it said, that they hoped that the having not a lot of rules was not in the spirit of the KAL or something, as if like, and I read that as meaning maybe there should be rules, maybe you should have to finish it in time, maybe it's got to be a new cast on, maybe it's got to be, you know, something specifically very Christmassy. And I think that's what the person meant. And you know, the reason we have more relaxed knit-alongs is just because we don't want pressure. We don't want huge pressure. We just want you to enjoy it. So I'd rather have a more relaxed feel. You know, if you don't finish it in July, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's July. You can finish it in plenty of time for Christmas. The point is that we want it to be fun. And sometimes having too many rules in place can take the fun away, and we don't want to do that. So that's really the reason why there's not many rules with most of our knit-alongs, to be fair. But yeah, this is my second Christmas in July project, and it's in my lovely Moo and Mouse bag. I know that Emma's made some more of these, so people out there might also have one of these gorgeous bags. And I will just use this all year round. I'm not, you know, one of these people. I'll use the one I've made all year round. It's just nice. And actually, you know, I think you all know that we hate the hideous summer. And having these Christmas things to think about in July, it's definitely been helpful to me, because the other thing I've been doing is, whilst I've been working on these, I've been going back and watching old vlogmases of people's, you know, and seeing chilly weather and festiveness and cake baking and all of that coziness, and that's been really nice. So it's definitely helping get through, you know, this horrible weather. So yes, this is my Christingle Mingle cowl, and I'm keeping up with the days. I'm exactly on track. And I'm just about I think I'm exactly halfway through now. Oh, and I just love it. Oh, don't you love it? Look at the colours. I'm not normally an orange person, but for whatever reason, I absolutely love this. You know, the bottom bit is more peachy, but this one is definitely an orangey sort of, but it's more of a like tangerine-y sort of sherbety orange rather than that kind of in-your-face orange. I'm saying that, and then I've probably got an in-your-face orange coming up. I don't think I have. No, this one's more of a pumpkin orange, I think. These are the other two colours. 1, 2, 3. No, there should be 3. Oh, there's another. There we go. There's those 3 coming up. Oh, isn't it lovely? So yeah, I'm exactly halfway through and I'm keeping on track. I'm keeping up with the pattern. So this is the Christingle Mingle, and the way it's written in 12 sections, and in the pattern I say like day 1, day 2, and there's 12 days, but effectively what that means is you've got 2 days to work each day, if you know what I mean, so that it then covers the 24 days. So I just made a little note on my pattern just to say, you know, day 4 is actually the 7th and the 8th, that kind of thing, so that I know that I'm on track with it. So I'm exactly on track. I'm right in the middle now of the centre section, which is where you get to do this very mingly bit of 2 speckled yarns. So you're striping 2 speckled yarns. Oh, and I just love the way it looks. It's really subtle but really lovely, isn't it? And I just love all the colours. I think it's so pretty. And this isn't at all festive looking, you know. And to me, it doesn't have to be. It can, because it doesn't have to look festive, does it, to be a Christmas project, because you might just be knitting presents for people. You don't necessarily want them all to look really, really festive, because it might be a hat that you want someone to wear in March, for example. So it is a festive themed design, but you can knit it in whatever you want. So the solid colours for me this time are Cascade Heritage. And then I just chose a load of speckled yarns out of my stash. I couldn't say, to be honest, who the dyers were, but my favourite so far, and I wish I knew what it was, is this one here, this speckled here. It's like pinks and greens. It's really, really pretty. It's lovely. And it's got this gorgeous rib, top and bottom. And there is in this pattern as well, because you do have a little bit of leftovers from all of your 20 grams. It uses 12 times 20 grams. You do have a little bit of leftovers. So I've popped in a free hat pattern as well into this pattern. So you can knit up a little hat with your leftovers if you want to. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I've been knitting this in the morning. And also I think this might become now my bedtime knitting because it's nice and light. And it's just round and round, lovely knitting. And you just get to swap yarns every few sort of rounds, really. And that just makes it really fun.
Do you really think someone was complaining about the...
I'm not sure. This is the problem, isn't it, with this kind of communication, that it's really easy to misinterpret something.
Shall I tell you a huge problem with the world is because of the way that so many people communicate now using social media, what the person who's written it means might not be how you perceive it.
No,
and this
absolutely not.
All the time.
All the time, you know.
This is why I'm such a firm believer in freedom of speech is massively important, but I think you need to see the person.
Yeah, I agree.
Doing the talking,
because it's so easy.
I don't mean necessarily in person. Because, of course, you know, you can say something on a camera, can't you? And you can see what's meant by it by...
Yeah, because such a lot of what you're saying...
communication comes through the face and the body movements and all of that.
It's your body language, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you could say the same thing in writing and the same thing in person and it would seem entirely different.
It's also very easy, isn't it, to say things anonymously.
Yeah, absolutely, it's easy.
Whereas when you put a face to the words, then you're showing, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, people...
I really believe what I'm saying.
You should always think, and I always think, you know...
Because I can't
before you say anything online or whatever, you should just think, would I say this to this person's face?
Yeah. Or would I say it in public?
Or would I say it in public? Yeah.
Because I can't believe... Because, you know, one of the crazy things to me about knit-alongs quite often is how they're totally weighted towards fast knitters. And well, that's not right, is it?
Well, no,
because if you're putting a rule on about fast knitting, should you then add a rule about the quality of the knitting?
Well,
you know, you could start adding a whole host of rules, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not
and that's not what this is about.
No, it's not just the fast knitting, because you might be a fast knitter, but you might have a really busy life, and you only get an hour and an evening to knit. So you know,
surely this is about.
It's just appreciating
community.
Absolutely, it's just appreciating that every single person's life is different.
Yes.
Everybody's knitting life is different.
And you shouldn't be penalised if you're busier or slower.
No, we just want people to join in and have a good time.
Have some fun.
And chat to people who are like-minded. So, yes, that's my lovely Christingle Mingle Cowl. Very much enjoying it. What else are you working on? That sounded weird.
What a wonderful link.
That sounded terrible. I'll do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Look, I've finally got through. Oh, I do get stressed out on the... I'm getting there. And I've got there big time on the other ones. Like I say, I'll show you them next time. My other mitts, the star mitts, totally, nailed the thumb gussets.
Yes.
I'm the thumb... that's hard to say.
The king of thumb gussets.
Yes.
Is that what you wanted to say?
I'm the queen of jugs. That's what... didn't Bryony say that?
Bryony said that one time. It was hilarious when she was little. She was playing with... You know how you can get, those water sets and they've got all different sized jugs?
Yeah.
Oh, it did make us laugh.
But yes, I am the king of thumb gussets. Do you know what? They're fun. I had done some before when I knitted... the Susan B. Anderson's, I can't remember what they're called, mitts. That's not what they're called.
Is that what they're called?
I can't remember what they're called. But that's the only pair of mitts I've ever knitted before.
Oh,
just
the
a
plain pair.
Yeah. Totally plain pair. It's my first ever.
It was a good pattern.
Yeah, Susan commented on my mitts.
Oh.
She put, I'm smitten by your mittens.
Oh.
And this must be 5 years ago.
Fame
so you can see
a comment
how much
from Susan. That's always lovely, isn't it?
It sounds like you're talking about Delia Smith. Can you imagine if you posted a picture of food and Delia Smith commented?
I know.
I think you'd combust.
I know.
Anybody
Can't imagine Delia's on social medias than her.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am sort of getting more and more excited about mitts. And actually, mitts are a great project to knit, especially fingering weight mitts, in the summer. Because whilst
Yes.
they're a winter thing, or not an
Autumnal thing.
or early spring,
Yeah.
in it's the perfect time. So much nicer knitting this than. Although, do you know what? I am sort of half tempted, and I'm only half tempted, and I might wait until it's not quite as warm as it is now. But I've been so impressed by how the Let Lopey jumpers wear. I just wonder what they would feel like wearing them in quite warm weather.
Right.
Because now I wore it.
Do you mean as mittens? Or
No.
what? Oh, is it right? Okay.
Just, I don't mean that I would do
Why
this
would you? Why would you wear a Let Lopey in warm weather?
Because one of the things that I've been wanting to try and understand and find out is that I'm just thinking back to that. I think it was the second walk in Walk in the Wall. I had on the Let Lopey and I got through half of it, and I think it got up to about maybe 13 or 14 degrees.
Oh, heaven.
That's the point when it had to come off. Now, I was walking and I was moving and I was active, so I will have been warm as well. So I just wonder, actually, if they would wear in even warmer weather when you're just going about your normal daily life.
I think they probably would.
I wonder if they'd be comfortable in like 16 or 17.
Possibly.
You see, if they were, it opens up a whole new... I don't know about you, but I gauge what I'm going to wear. First thing on the morning, I do a number of things. Check the weather, and I do the arm check. So I stick my arm out the bedroom window and I wave it around. And then...
We don't need the Met Office weather apps.
Because they
Just Dan's arm.
Yes. Well, I use both. I think when you combine both, you do get a much more reflective, of what actually is going on out there. And it would be lovely, wouldn't it, if, seeing as though I love knitting them so much, and I do love wearing them so much in the right temperatures, if I knew that I could wear it when it's 15 degrees, 16 degrees, it would open up a whole new...
I think if it was sunny, I don't know. If it wasn't sunny, I think you might be all right.
I think that's probably the key.
Yeah.
It's amazing the difference, isn't it, between full sun and, let's say, 22 degrees and no sun and 22 degrees.
Yeah.
It's like chalk and cheese.
Yeah. And, it's blazing sun outside today, and it is a bit cooler today than it has
Thank
been.
goodness.
But this weekend is going to be, there's a heat warning for this weekend. I mean, it's just...
We're right on the cusp of it, though.
We are. I mean, luckily we're in the north of England. People down in the south, I'm so sorry to everyone who's down in the south.
Well, it's not just the south.
No, it's south and
actually,
central. It's most of the UK, to be fair.
I wonder if the worst temperatures, looking at where the heat warning is sat, because it's sort of sat, I just wonder if it might be right in the middle. I wonder if places like Nottingham and are really going to
I think it's centred around the southeast, from what I can gather.
Right.
And then it sort of gets slightly...
Right.
And we are right on the line of where the heat warning is. So
it's just funny because when
it's going to be hot, it's just whether it's going to be like...
When you look at that heat warning...
furnace hot or...
what's so funny is we're right on the top. And then my mum is right on the corner.
Yeah, she is.
Down into... What comes after Somerset?
Cornwall and Devon.
Cornwall and Devon are outside of the line.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you always think, the times I've only been once, the time I've
never been to Cornwall, I've been to Devon years and years ago.
Right. It's a long way.
It's a long way. And I lived in Sheffield at the time that I went, which is 100 miles further south than we are now. And it still took us about 8 hours, I think, to drive there.
They're lovely counties. They're
do that now.
very typically English, rural.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I seem to remember, gosh, I was only about 20, so I really don't remember. When you're 20, an 8-hour drive, it's like, oh, no problem.
It's the year before you burnt your face.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Stayed in a caravan. I do like a static caravan, I've got to say. I quite enjoy them. Except not when it's boiling hot.
No. Do you know what I'd like to see? Static caravanning with Jane McDonald.
We've watched all Jane. We're a bit desolate now. We don't know.
My lunchtimes are ruined.
What we're going to do? Well, I mean, Brian is off school now anyway, so we don't get our little lunchtime routine. But when September hits, we need a replacement for Jane because we've watched them all.
Well, hopefully,
Jane.
the thing is though,
Wouldn't it be fun if Jane was watching? Jane.
no, she can't knit.
Oh no, that's true. She can't knit because we saw that on a cruise. There was some knitters and she was so terribly bad.
And she can't cook.
She can't cook, but we still love her.
And she can't sing. Oh. But I have grown to love her.
We love her.
Yes.
Yes.
So look, those are my pieces of home mitts, making good progress now, and through now into the main section and about crumbs.
Not
10.
far. Where's your other one?
They do go once you're through the thummy bit. They do go quite quick.
The thummy bit.
Which is really good fun, and these are pushing my.
Here's the other one. Look, aren't they lovely with the yarn though? It's really lovely.
It's pushing my
great.
finger and my.
Do they match?
No.
No, not quite.
But that's fine.
Oh well, yeah. I'd like mismatched things to be honest.
It's pushing my colour work to the absolute limits.
It's really lovely.
Which I really love. And Bryony tried that one on and she really liked it.
It fit her really well, yeah.
Which is really great.
It fit her really well.
That'd be so cool. I'd be so happy if she wears those.
Than mine. She loves mitts and mittens.
If she wears,
So
I'll be like,
I'm sure she would.
We know what it's like, don't we? When I don't know why, but for some reason, if she wears these into school when she's in sixth form, I'll just be thrilled. So here's hoping.
She just had 2 days.
I'm sure if I asked her really nicely,
she would. She would wear them. She just had 2 days back in school to have a little practice run of sixth form. She absolutely loved it, didn't she?
It was good.
And brilliantly, the school have given them all summer projects to work on for their chosen subjects. So she's got a bit of a focus for the summer, which is brilliant.
Yeah, she did some of the best artwork we've ever seen.
Yeah, she did some brilliant artwork yesterday, and it means that whilst we're working, she can be in here. She's working on her schoolwork, and then she can do what she wants in an afternoon. We're not that bad.
Look.
Yes, so it's a Zauber ball that Dan's using. I can't remember the name of it, but the other yarn is this one, Viking Garn, and it's nice. It's merino. It's just 100% superwash merino, and it's nice, but I wouldn't say it's amazing. What would you think?
I have to say that these balls are an absolute pain.
Oh, they are. I should have wound it. They fall apart. They just fall apart and just become a tangled mess.
Yeah.
I should have wound it on the ball winder.
They're rubbish.
If you're using a Zauber ball, I would recommend actually rewinding it on a ball winder.
What else is on your needle?
So the last thing is I'm also working on some mitts. So that's cool. Yeah. It's the fingerless mitts that I showed you last time, and I finished one and I'm well on with the second. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take my bracelets off to show you because we don't want any problemos. So yeah, I finished the first one. It's really pretty.
It is pretty.
Yeah. And this is the yarn that I dyed myself, if you remember, that found its way back to me, which is lovely. I called it Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail. And I've added in the stitch pattern that's on one of my sock designs, the Twinkle and Dance. The Twinkle and Dance design. This little stitch pattern is in the body of that sock. I just made it a bit more concentrated for the mitt. So yeah, I finished that, done the thumb gusset.
Amazing.
Did it all, picked up,
That's
did
cool.
the thumb.
I tell you what I found hard on the thumb gusset was the decreases, because there's so few.
Right.
Going up to because mine are full.
Decreases.
Yeah, the decreases on the top of it.
Oh, there's decreases, is there?
Yeah, because it's not fingerless.
Oh, it's not fingerless.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was confused.
Yeah.
Right,
so
it's not fingerless.
With my massive mitts, combined, I mean, I did do it on. Well, of course they were DK, weren't they? Those ones.
Yeah.
So that was good actually that I did those first.
Yeah.
Because that'll be even more challenging.
Yeah, it will be fiddly, especially on DPNs.
Yeah.
I think working, if you were doing decreases on a little thumb like that, doing magic loop I think is way easier than fiddling about with DPNs.
I like fiddling about with DPNs.
Do you know what I mean? When you've got like 6 stitches or something, all these DPNs.
It's epic.
much easier on Magic Loop. Even if you're not very adept or like Magic Loop, I just think it'd be easier when you've got a few stitches. So yeah, that's all finished. And the way that I do the thumbs, and this is one of my designs, is I make sure that it comes right out of the side, right on the edge of the palm, because that's where your thumb is, isn't it? And I think on one of your pairs, I can't remember, I think it's sort
both of those pairs.
Yeah,
I think
the
that
thumb's
it is
like a bit further along.
I think it's the sort of colourwork Latvian mitt approach.
Yeah, I think it's just how they
structure them.
Yes, how they structure it, because that doesn't have a thumb gusset, does it?
Yeah, I think
Is there
does.
a gusset on it?
Yeah.
That one you're knitting, you've just knit. Is there a gusset?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just in the wrong position.
It seems... It's
there
like, yes.
instead of there.
Yeah, when you put it on your hand, your thumb has to be like this for it not to stretch. If you actually hold your hand as you hold your hand, it kind of stretches it round. So I always make sure that the thumb gusset comes right out of the, right on the edge, because that's where your thumb is. But I think maybe it's just the traditional way.
I think it is.
Yeah, of doing that.
And
so I've got... Sorry, go on.
It's a tricky one, because I do really like the way they look when they're not on a hand. The problem is...
so do I.
The problem is they're designed to be on a hand.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think probably what I need to do is make a few and then wear a few and then see how they feel after wearage.
Yeah. Wearage.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
It is.
So yeah, I've got the second one on the go, look, and I'm doing really well with it. So I don't think it'll take me long to finish these. And I'll have loads of the yarn left over. I think I'll probably have 60 grams left. And I was thinking of making a matching hat.
Oh, yeah.
I think a hat...
Oh, yes.
Won't it look really sort of wintry and lovely, having a hat in that?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Superb.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll have matching hat and mitts. Your mum would approve.
I know.
She loves matching things, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Hats and gloves and bags. I think that's just what women used to do back in the day.
Yeah. Just worries me that I do. But I actually wrote an article in Knitability all about that. And I sort of Hercule
Poirot.
Hercule. You'll have noticed in the outtakes at the start of the show, I tried to say in the filming of Walking the Wall, Joaquin.
Isn't it Joaquin
Phoenix? Yes. I made a number of attempts. The one that made the final edit is hopefully correct. Some of the ones that did appear in the outtakes. Yeah. Look, 2022. You have finished, haven't you?
Yes.
Good. 2022 marks the 1,900-year anniversary of the building of Hadrian's Wall.
It does.
And to celebrate that rather special event, this year, as you most probably know, we've been filming our special Walk in the Wall series, where we started in the east, we're working our way across to the west.
Yeah.
We're 4 episodes in. It's the 5th one today, and my goodness, it definitely is by far our most favourite site.
Yes,
that we walk past.
We've
today.
been many times.
We have, and it's like a pilgrimage.
It is. It's it's beautiful. I love it there.
Yes. So I think without further ado,
yes,
I should shut up and let's watch together the next episode of Walking the Wall. Welcome everyone to Northumberland. This is perhaps my favourite county in all of England. Rolling hills make some absolutely wonderful vistas and gorgeous landscapes to look out on, and scattered in between those hills are some of the most unique and unforgettable little villages. In this series, over 7 walks, we're exploring Hadrian's Wall, the epic monument built by the Romans nearly 2,000 years ago to mark the edge of their vast empire.
As we walk this gorgeous landscape, we're finding out what an awesome job they did. Our constant companion is the vast Valum Hadriani. This was the ditch which protected the south side of the 73-mile wall which stretched from coast to coast. But that was just the start of this monumental piece of engineering. We visited enigmatic turrets, discovered the story behind the many mile castles along the line of the wall, and last time we uncovered some of the secrets of Vercovicium, perhaps the most famous destination along the modern line of the wall. This time we're back for a walk with decidedly Hollywood connections. Because on today's walk we're going to be striding through some of the most photographed and filmed locations in all of England, and it's for so many reasons. We've left the low points behind us now on our quest along Hadrian's Wall West. And the sort of heights and drops of the Great Wind Sill are reflected in the wall, and the engineering is just phenomenal. Every sort of rise and fall, you can see it reflected in the wall as you walk. But best of all are the views. I mean, the drop down there is just crazy, straight down to another one of those locks that we're going to find later on in our walk. Honestly, every direction that you look here, it's just amazing. If you don't believe me, just take a look. This is a walk you'll never forget. It might not be for completely Roman reasons, thank you Kevin Costner, but who cares? Get ready for an epic adventure. Welcome to Walking the Wall. Hello everyone, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you back to Hadrian's Wall country. We're actually just a couple of miles north of the brilliantly named village of Once Brood, and we've actually only we've continued west along the wall as we've been doing all this series, but we've only come just 4 miles west of our last walk, but there's a very good reason for that. Today we're going to be exploring probably my favourite part of this fantastic historical landmark. As we discovered on our last walk, the central section of the wall is by far the most dramatic, and we're going to be continuing to explore that today. But there's something very Hollywood about today's walk, and it's all thanks to a sycamore tree. No one's really sure how old it is, and the most you'll get out of the local guides is that it's several hundred years old. And the crazy thing is, its popularity only really took off in 1991, and my goodness, did it take off, because this sycamore tree is now the most photographed tree in all of England, and in fact that's made this the most photographed section along all of the 73 miles of Hadrian's Wall. And who do we have to blame for this situation? Would you believe it's Kevin Costner? Because today, folks, we're going to be walking straight through one of the, in my opinion, it's the best location from that classic 1991 movie, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The funny thing is, that's not the reason why this is my favourite section of the wall. the scenery here, it's simply Northumberland at its best. Because we get up really high on the Great Wind Sill, the views are just 360 degrees and completely panoramic. It's just amazing. And also, because we're on that Great Wind Sill, the wall it rises and falls, and the engineering is just phenomenal. This section of the wall also, though, takes in a mile castle that's probably the most important one on all of Hadrian's Wall, because in 1840, at this mile castle that we're going to walk past today, an inscription was found which finally revealed to archaeologists who actually built this wall. Up until then, up until 1840, no one really knew. It's amazing, isn't it? Are you excited? I know I am. We've started our walk today, folks, with a short hop. So I could pick up, I suppose a short hop, it's about half a mile from the car park. And it's enabled me to pick up this trail, which is going to take us straight through Peterig Plantation. It also takes us parallel with the wall, and it's going to give us some absolutely spectacular views I've never actually seen before. From this direction of Sycamore Gap, I've always sort of come at it from the wall or seen it from the road, which is about 2 or 3 miles. Look at these two lovely cows. They're all furry. It's surprisingly boggy, actually. My goodness. I'm really glad I wore my waterproof shoes. I nearly didn't today as well. A few times in the summer. I made this mistake before. I think, oh, you know, it's been dry. Won't be wet, I'll put on my sort of lighter summer walking shoes. It's never the case. I'd have got wet feet there had it not been for my trusty boots. But yes, we'll follow the trail past Sycamore Gap. We'll also catch sight of Crag Loch, another one of those lochs, do you remember, that we discovered on the last walk? It's absolutely spectacular, and it's got loads of really interesting wildlife on it. We'll then turn right at Hot Bank. We'll also discover why it's called Hot Bank, and it's really quite interesting. And that'll take us back to Hadrian's Wall. And that's when we'll turn back to the west and start our journey back. And we're going to see just some spectacular sights, because along this section of the wall, I mean, this was the reason why they picked this spot, the Great Wind Sill. We found it on our last walk. It sort of really picks up at Housesteads. And, you know, to build the wall, to go up and down the crags of the Great Wind Sill was really quite the engineering feat. So we're going to see some really spectacular Roman engineering from nearly 2,000 years ago, which is just going to be tremendous. We'll then walk straight past Sycamore Gap. We'll also take in another mile castle. My goodness. This is going to be some serious walking. As he meets another gigantic puddle. Look at the size of this. Still boggy. does play into the theory of many leading historians that when the Romans built the wall right here, this part of the world was highly populated. And if you think about it, I mean, it was 79 years from when they arrived to when they first started building the wall. And what better way to really conquer a sort of challenging area of the country than to literally split it straight down the middle. Talk about divide and conquer. Over the course of the last 4 walks, we've learnt much about the creation of Hadrian's Wall and also the people that lived here. And the question that many of you might be wondering is, after the wall was built, how well did it work? It's a tale with many twists and turns. And for the first 90 years of the wall's existence, things around here were still rather interesting. Can you believe it? They've got a fresh new wall, 20 years old, and what do? They decide to build a new one. I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? And they quickly realised that it was crazy. They'd stretched themselves just too thin. And so after just 20 years, they moved back here to Hadrian's Wall. And it was all because of an uprising from the tribe that lived in this part of the world, the Celtic tribe. And they were called the Brigantes. And at the head of that army rode a man, a new emperor, and he was truly amazing. This guy was called Septimius Severus, and he grew up in an environment that you might know a little bit about. Have you seen the film Gladiator? Well, whilst the majority of that film is fiction, it was set in fact. So Emperor Marcus Aurelius, played by Richard Harris at the start of the film, he existed. And his evil son Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix, he also really existed. And it was in that sort of court, it was in that world that Septimius Severus really earned his stripes and grew up. By 208 AD, he'd become Rome's very first African emperor. And when he arrived in this part of the world, he absolutely transformed it. He performed huge upgrades on the wall. He also upgraded the gatehouses and the forts. He also built the military road, which we've mentioned a few times on our walk so far. And the upgrades he made were so transformative that up until 1840, this was not known as Hadrian's Wall. This was known as the Severan Wall. And my goodness, what a fantastic view of it we've got right now. If you recall, on our last walk, we discovered that locks lie not just in Scotland, but also here in Northumberland too. And just up ahead is one of my absolute favourites. It might not be the home of the legendary Excalibur, King Arthur's sword, but I think it's the most beautiful one in this part of the world. It's just stunning. Can you imagine the awe-inspiring sight that would have been sat right on top of that there? That is the Great Wind Sill, and above that would have stood Severin, well, it's not the Severin Wall, is it? I'm falling into the trap of pre-1840. Hadrian's Wall, but upgraded by Septimius Severus, was at its absolute peak. It was looking its absolute finest. It's around about 210 AD that happened. And for the next generation, really it was until the mid-300s, this place was calm. This was absolutely the heyday of Roman Britain, and it was the heyday of Hadrian's Wall. The fighting did come back in the mid-300s, and that really was the start of the beginning of the end of Roman Britain. So if you were going to pick an era to come and live in this part of the world at the time of the Romans, the perfect time for you to arrive would be around 210 to 215 AD. So this is it, we've reached Hot Bank. And the reason for the use of the word hot, it's difficult to pinpoint it, but it's most likely that near here was an Iron Age religious site, because that would include a ring of trees. And back in those days, a ring of trees was known as a hot. I think it's just phenomenal that the name lives on, isn't it? You know, literally thousands of years later, because Hot Bank Farm is just over there, and ahead of me, rising up to some amazing heights, is Hot Bank Crags. But our future doesn't lie east, rising up over the amazing Hot Bank Crags. It lies over to the west and High Shield Crags. Beyond lies Sycamore Gap. Two amazing mile castles actually along the route, and so much more, but that's all for part 2. So why don't you guys head off for a little breather, and I'll see you later on in the show with more Walking the Wall.
Now that's what I call a walk. Oh yes. Oh, do you know what? Did you see that view of Sycamore Gap? In fact, for a huge proportion of the first part of that walk, you couldn't miss it. It was constantly there. I mean, it's like perfectly positioned.
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
And I've never ever seen it from the north before. And I think it's way nicer from the north than it is from the south.
Because you get the fields and the lake and the...
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, people don't tend to come to the north side of it.
No.
They tend to congregate on the south side of
They
it.
do. Yeah,
So
that's
when
true.
you approach it, when you look at it from the north, you don't tend to see very many people. It's like, oh.
I think it's also because there is a road, isn't there, that's on the south side, and when you're travelling on the road, you can see it.
Which is cool.
It's very cool.
It's cool, you know, you're like constantly looking. The amount of times we've driven along that road, and I've like, right, girls, look out for the tree.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they tell me, and then I'll sort of glance across, because of course you need to keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah. Very fun.
Just the business. And who would have thought that a hot is a ring of trees?
Yeah, I know. I had no idea.
I mean,
no idea.
I had no idea as well. You know, you would sort of assume that it would come from something else, or maybe it would be a more modern thing. But, you know, certainly in England, if you ever see that word used in an ancient landscape, there's a good chance that it's going to refer to most probably a religious site, Bronze Age religious site, or in more rare occurrences, it'll be an old Roman lime kiln. Amazing.
You're all going to now go and watch Robin Hood, aren't you? Oh, go on.
Well, they might not yet, because we've not got to the proper tree.
Oh, sorry.
That's all to come in part 2.
Yes.
That's when we get to the tree.
I apologise. I watched it all at once, so
it's when
that's why. Yeah.
You watched the special gold edition.
I'm very lucky.
Yes.
I get to watch the gold edition.
Yes, in part 2, we will discover the links to Sycamore Gap and Robin Hood, and we'll also visit the most important mile castle on all of Hadrian's Wall. It was the mile castle which revealed to archaeologists in 1840 who actually built it. Amazing stuff.
It's one of our favourites. We've had many picnics there, haven't we, I think, as well.
At Sycamore Gap?
Yeah.
Yes.
At Sycamore Gap we have, but I think we've also had a picnic at that mile castle.
I think we stopped and had a picnic at Mile Castle 39 en route to Sycamore Gap.
Oh, that's right.
Because I think we got there.
That's the other side, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first time we got there, I don't think we knew when we were going to get to Sycamore Gap.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That is true.
But like I say, that's all to come in part 2, because right now it's time for a rather epic Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
I do have one lovely thing. I'm so glad to get these finished. I'm really knitting like fury.
Do you know
to
what?
get
I'm
these
sad
finished.
now.
You're sad? Why?
Because I know when you give those to Bryony,
yeah,
that she'll take off the socks that she's got on,
yeah,
and she'll put those on.
She's actually got socks on today.
And the reason why I'm sad is because the socks that she has on, which are the Dunbrock, I made.
Talking of Dunbrock, me and Bryony are watching Once Upon a Time at the minute, and we're in series 5, and within that there's Merida and Dunbrock. And I've never actually seen Brave, the film, so when Dunbrock came up on the screen, I was like, oh my word, that's my socks. It was really cool. But yeah, she's got socks on today because although it's really sunny, it is a little bit cooler today, and in the living room where she is doing some magical drawing, she said, oh, it's quite cool in here.
Let me in.
Joy upon joys. But yes, she will probably put these straight on.
Well, she will.
Because I've finished her Wesley socks, her Wesley Crusher socks. Oh, aren't they lovely? Really like them.
They are so, definitely matched.
Star Trekky.
No, well, matched to his jumper.
Yes, his
that
jumper.
Epic jumper.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I made a startling discovery.
Did you?
Yes. We've really been enjoying watching a programme called The Orville.
Oh, yes.
And
brilliant.
There's a character in that called Malloy, what's his first name? Gordon.
Gordon Malloy.
Gordon Malloy.
Brilliant.
The actor
So
who
funny.
plays Gordon Malloy is an actor called Scott Grimes.
Yeah.
And Scott Grimes was in Star Trek Next Generation.
Was he really?
And he was like a friend of Wesley's.
Does Bryony know that?
No. I think it's from like season 1 of Next Generation.
Gosh, she'll go searching for that.
Well, I saw a clip and he doesn't have a beard.
Right.
He has a beard now, the actor, Scott Grimes.
Red-haired with a
He's
red
also a
beard.
singer, actually.
He is a brilliant singer.
He's in a band with Russell Crowe.
Right. And he sings within the Orville as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
We just watched an episode actually called Twice in a Lifetime, and there's a song in that. It's an Art Garfunkel song.
Brilliant
It's really that episode. I found it really haunting.
It was it's
been on my mind constantly.
Seth MacFarlane created this series, The Orville. He's a really big Star Trek fan, isn't he? And
Star Wars.
And Star Wars. A lot of his episodes are really deeply meaningful, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they've got
in this episode, this character, Gordon Malloy, falls in love with someone who died 400 years ago.
Yeah, because the whole time travel thing, and by time travel, he was in her world and they fell in love and all of this business, and he had to leave, and it was a big thing, and we were like, oh God, it just really makes you think, because I said to you, well, what if he never meets someone ever again that he loves that much, and they've taken him away from that world that he was in with that woman that he loved? It's all very thought-provoking.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well,
but funny. There's really funny.
Yeah, I think
there's
anything
loads
that
of
sort of
humour in
stays
it
with
as
you.
well.
I like watching things that make you think and that stay with you for a while.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
that episode definitely has stayed with us. Yeah.
The reason why I thought of him was because in the scenes where he is, Wesley's got that jumper on.
Yeah. Oh right. Okay. I'm going to tell Bryony. She'll be thrilled.
Yeah.
But yeah, finished. All done. So these top colours, the Star Trek colours, I dyed myself, and I've still got a tiny bit left of each of them. I'm going to keep them. You never know. And then the sort of jumper colour, the main jumper colour, if you like, of Wesley's jumper, is this, which was a Cascade Heritage Silk. And it's lovely. It's washed really lovely. And the colour I used was 5765, and it's called Bleached Denim. Really gorgeous colour. I've got quite a lot left. I'm sure I can do something else Star Trek-y themed with that. Maybe I might do a hat for her. She don't really wear hats too much though, does she? So maybe not. Mitts maybe. I don't know. Anyway, they're all finished, and I put into the sort of body of the sock here, I put in the Hermione's Everyday pattern, just to sort of give me a little bit of something to think about. I was worried with the second sock that my gauge was wildly different, because I thought when I measured them just to double check I'd knit the same number of rounds for the foot, I was like, this is weird, one looks bigger than the other, and I counted the rounds and they were the same. But actually when I've blocked them, they look exactly the same, so I think it's evened out. You can sometimes find that, can't you, that you know, depending on your mood or the weather or whatever, you can find that your gauge is tighter on like one sock than the other, or one half of a sock than the other. But it all seems to have evened out. So I'm going to go and give those to her now. She'll be super thrilled and want to watch that episode. I think she'll probably go and find it so she can watch it.
Right. It's time for us to head back for the second part of Walking the Wall. Because there was one thing missing in part 1, and that was, of course, Wall itself. So as we return for part 2, look out for those amazing mile castles, but also get ready for the grand entrance of Hadrian's Wall, as we return for more Walking the Wall. Welcome back
to walking the wall. This is the site of Mile Castle 38. Not much remains of it now. I mean, there's just these earthworks, as you can see, but this is probably the most important Mile Castle on all of Hadrian's Wall, because after generations of not knowing who built Hadrian's Wall, it was a find that was made here in this space that changed everything. Some years before, this stone had been found in the ground near here at Mile Castle 38. It's an inscription stone, and basically loads have been found along the length of the wall, but this was the first time one had been identified and understood. And what this inscription stone told us was who built this section of the wall, because the soldiers who built a particular section wanted to know who'd done all the hard work, or they wanted people to know. So they would create the stone and they would install it somewhere prominent on the wall. And that is what was found. And clear as day on this stone, it states that the emperor who had instructed the building of this section of the wall, now it's written in Latin, it's Hadriani Augusti, but there, plain as day, after nearly, well, over 1,000 years of wondering, we finally knew that this was not the Severan Wall, but it was in fact Hadrian's Wall. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? When did archaeology actually begin? It's difficult to pinpoint precisely, but 1586 looks like the point when we first started sort of digging through the ground and looking scientifically at what was there and trying to work out what had come before. It was all thanks to a book which you can still actually buy today. It was written by a man called William Camden, most probably on the instruction of Queen Elizabeth I. My goodness, I'm so glad they did it, because without them, none of this might remain. After some lovely easy walking through all that gorgeous moorland, things are now about to get a little bit interesting. That's what I love about this part of the country. The contrasts in scenery are just insane. And we're now going to start our climb up High Shield Crags. It's 1,000 feet above sea level. Just need to get through this stile actually. So yeah, it's 1,000 feet we're going to climb. It really is quite the strain on the old legs. But my goodness, is it worth it? Because when we get to the top, the views we're going to see are just brilliant. My goodness, folks, this really is quite the climb, but it's going to be worth it. 1,000 feet up. The views are spectacular. Now, we've just actually come past the site of one of the turrets which Mile Castle 38 would have taken care of. You know, the soldiers that were placed there, they would have come down to the turret which we've just walked through. There's nothing there, there's nothing left, unfortunately. All the stone's been robbed away. But what I love about the positioning of it, and we're just coming through it actually right now, is this is called Milking Gap. And the reason why it's called this is drovers in the 17th century who were taking their cattle from the fields down to market, most probably in Hexham, used to come through here. And that's why it got its name, because of all the cows ready for the milking. My goodness, this really is quite challenging, but it's worth it. Wait till you see the views. And after just a few minutes hard climb, we've made it high above Crag Loch, with panoramic views of all of Northumberland and just a few minutes walk to Sycamore Gap. It's just spectacular, isn't it? I tell you, the drop there is just precipitous, straight down to Crag Loch. And literally every direction that you look, it's a beautiful day. And the countryside is just phenomenal. And it's the gift that just keeps on giving, because just as we've got up here and we're enjoying all these wonderful views, the star of the show, the main attraction, decides it's time to make his entrance. In all of Great Britain, it doesn't get much more spectacular than here. And I think that's the reason why Hollywood came calling in 1990. It was, of course, the brilliant movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And if you recall in that film, after he lands back at the White Cliffs of Dover, he makes his way back to his home. And en route, not far from his home, he comes across a boy being chased by the men of Guy of Gisborne, and Guy of Gisborne is there as well, isn't he? The boy hides up a tree, and that tree lies just up ahead. You can totally see why it was chosen for a Hollywood movie, but it does create a bit of a conundrum, because Robin arrived in Dover, which is 600 miles south of here. He then travelled to Nottingham, which is about 300 miles south of here. So it's physically impossible that he could have come here on his way to Nottingham. But do you know what? It's a movie, and I just don't care. Because this place has got an aura all of its own. I mean, there's something special, I think, about old trees. They sort of portray calmness and sort of gracefulness and tranquility. And this, for me, because it sits there all on its own, it makes it even more special. And sat in this landscape, my goodness, it really is just perfection. It really is easy to forget all about the Roman element and the actual sort of historic element when you stood here. And I bet you most people who walk through here look straight up at that tree and don't bother to take a look what lies beneath, because let me tell you, in all of Hadrian's Wall, what is just sat right there is pretty important. really is just amazing to look at this original Roman mortar and wall. And you might be wondering why they didn't use stone from the great wind sill in the wall. Well, every so often you will catch sight of a black stone that is one of those windsill stones, but the problem is that great windsill stone, it's just too hard to quarry. So the stones that you see in there will have just been loose stones that were around and about the sort of landscape when the people were here building the wall, the Roman legionaries, and they'll have picked up those stones and put them in the wall. It just goes to show you how sort of industrious and how they used absolutely everything that they could find in the landscape. Amazing stuff. Really challenging on the old knees. It's like rock climbing. Now, don't you go thinking that the sights are over with now that we've left Sycamore Gap behind us, because nestled just at the top of this rise is Mile Castle 39, and thanks to its remoteness, there's absolutely loads of it left to see. Let's go take a look. We've visited a few of these mile castles now, haven't we, in our quest along Hadrian's Wall. This one, though, is one of my favourites, and it's for a couple of reasons. Over in the southeast corner, when it was excavated, it's been excavated a couple of times, but they found evidence, and you can see a little bit of it now, still to this day, of the ovens that would have been used to cook for the soldiers that were based here. And I'm sure you'll remember that it was between 8 and 32. This is one of the larger of the mile castles, though, so I think it's pretty certain that this will have, most definitely in its heyday, in the Severan period, it would have housed 32 men. But also, what I love is there's also a little bit of evidence over here in the southwest corner. The stonework that you can see on the ground, it's not actually Roman. That is the remains of a milking parlour, probably from those drovers who were bringing their cattle through the wall at Milking Gap and then off down to Hexham. Maybe they called in here to milk the ones that really needed milking. This, though, I think definitely, I think I said at the start, it's one of my favourites, and it's for one reason alone, and that is where it sits in the landscape. It sits in a lovely little dip, but still the views to the south and to the north are just tremendous. After all that walking and climbing, this truly is quite the payoff. It's Hadrian's Wall country at its very best. Now, we might have passed the highest points of Hadrian's Wall, but we've still got so many wonderful destinations waiting for us as we travel further west. Would you believe, though, that right now my walk is coming to an end? But my goodness, this really has been a walk for the ages. Folks, this has been just the best walk ever. Of all the walks that we've done this series, this has most certainly been my favourite. And I think it's because of that link to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And me as the young boy who went to see it at the cinema, because right at that moment, that was when my love of history was just taking shape. So it's like all of the things that were sort of cool in my life at that time are encapsulated in this tremendous walk. But our journey is far from over. We've still got 2 more amazing walks in the series, and next time we're going to be venturing further into barbarian country than we ever have done before as we search for the site of a Roman aqueduct. But right now, all that's left for me to do is thank you so much for joining me on today's most wonderful adventure, and I'll see you next time for another Walk in the Wall.
What a wonderful adventure. Oh my goodness. I mean...
Did you love the tree?
It's like when you combine the wall, because the wall has got a feel.
Oh yeah, it has.
When you get to it and you're there walking, I think something that's been sat there for nearly 2,000 years and has seen so many things come and go in the world. When you then sort of combine with it things like trees, as I said in the show, trees are like, they make you think of so many things, gracefulness and
they've seen so much, haven't they, in
and,
their lifetime?
Yeah,
you know,
and
like,
then, you know, combine the two and it just creates the most, you can totally see why it was picked for.
Oh, absolutely, for the film, yeah. And, you know, if there's any of you out there that haven't seen the film, then please, you know, really, I can't recommend you that you watch anything.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, anything more than that. It's such a great film. You know, I can't think how many times we've seen it, but I'd happily watch it any day of the week.
And of course, I've already mentioned in this series about the books by L.J. Ross.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember the name of the DCI Ryan.
DCI Ryan, yeah.
Now, one of the most popular ones is Sycamore Gap. And we were looking, look, this is exactly the spot. If you've read Sycamore Gap, a body is hidden in the wall and someone pulls back rubble because they catch sight of it and they see it there inside the wall. And that is exactly the spot.
It is.
It was sort of cool to think. And again, you can totally understand. She must have gone up there walking.
Oh, yes.
She must have seen that and thought, ooh.
That's a great place to bury your body, that.
Exceptional.
Let's pull a few stones out and pop a body in there. It'd be great.
That's the way.
And it had been there a long time.
I think as well, though, just, you know, coming back to the reason why that walk was such an important one for me is, like I said there, just at the end of the show, right at that moment was the sort of point, 1991, when my passion for history is just starting to sort of really bloom. And then I remember going to the cinema with 2 friends, 2 girlfriends actually. They weren't girlfriends, they were friends who were girls.
Tell me anything.
It's true. I remember going to the cinema and I can remember being sat in the cinema watching and seeing the start, and I just thought the beginning of that film was so cool. With the titles on the Bayeux tapestry. It's like this is just tremendous. And to sort of pull it all together then into, it connects you with the past, it connects you with the future, you know, going and doing that walk. Also though as well, if you have the opportunity, I don't think you'll see anywhere, certainly nowhere I've walked so far in this series, there's such a long continuation of amazing things. It's just wonderful.
It is wonderful, yeah. We can even forgive Kevin Costner's American accent.
When I was researching the show, I can't remember, was it Dances with Wolves, JFK?
Yeah, there were 3 films, weren't there?
Yeah, it was Dances with Wolves. I think he went Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves,
and then into JFK. Just one after the other. Yeah. And they're all, well, Dances with Wolves I don't like, but...
Well, it is very popular.
Is it?
Yeah, I know lots of people... No, it wasn't like it.
Wasn't it really long as well, I seem to remember?
Yeah.
But JFK, fabulous, brilliant film. He played the part amazingly well.
I tell you, one of my favourite Kevin Costner films, actually, I really love Wyatt Earp.
Have I seen that one?
I don't know whether you have.
Oh, right.
Gene, Gene Hackman plays his dad.
I don't remember.
It's really cool. And it's like a who's. There's so many really cool, famous people in it playing really sort of key, great characters. But I mean, a really good career if you think about it. Kevin Costner done loads of great films, which then makes that walk so unbelievably special. Talk about Hollywood connection. Oh
Brilliant.
Yes, and that show and this show and everything we do is of course made possible by you, and we need you.
We do.
Oh yes, because without our Baker Bear patrons, there would simply be no show. And for less than the price of one cup of coffee...
A chilled coffee today.
Yes.
I've never had chilled coffee.
Less than the price of one cup of coffee per month, you can keep us on air making shows like that.
Yeah.
So if you would like to find out more about how you can become a Baker Bear patron, and if you were to sign up as a Baker Bear patron and pay the minimum, which is that price of the cup of coffee per month, you would get access to our patron-only show, which is coming up later this month. We broadcast one every month, and also you get access to our latest Knitability.
Yep.
So whenever we publish a new Knitability every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And we've actually just published one
We did.
just recently
Yeah.
with a superb interview with Tristan Molina.
Right.
And I think that is the coolest name in the history of the world.
It is.
It's like a character in a film.
Makes me think of an actor.
Alfred Molina.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Not related then.
No.
Oh, that's a pity.
Alfred Molina, who of course was in Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
Me saying she's not related, I have no idea.
No idea. Maybe she is.
That would be even cooler.
Be cool.
So, Walking the Wall will be back later on this summer, but next time, oh yes, Kays Cosy Kitchen returns for another rather wonderful episode.
Yes.
Right now, though, it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Woohoo! Oh yes. Christmas in July. Please come and join in. It's marvellous. We
Absolutely.
mentioned it already in the show.
Yes, there's
Open to everybody.
There's lots and lots of chatter in the Ravelry group.
Yes.
If you want to go and chatter away and see what everybody's knitting. But also, if you're not on Ravelry, you can just email us in your entries and we will add them in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, as well, our next patron-only show is coming up on the 24th of July at 2 p.m. British Summer Time. This is our monthly patron-exclusive hour-long show, which we broadcast live at 2 p.m, but you can then watch it anytime you like after that. I know some people get confused and they're like in Australia and they think they have to get up at like 3 in the morning. You don't have to do that.
You can watch the recording anytime you like after that.
Anytime you like after that. And our last patron-only show, it just went completely off the rails.
Oh, it was crazy. I just lost the plot. I just was like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, what Kay tends to do is, on a patron-only show, she'll reveal some sort of cool things that she might be working on or plans that are coming up in the future. And we were talking a little bit about things and we got completely cross lines because you're working on 2 massive new design projects at the moment.
Yeah, and I just got confused as to which one we were talking about and it just all went wrong.
And as I told her afterwards, I only talk about things I have written approval to talk about. In all seriousness, I wouldn't talk about something that she didn't want to.
I didn't know. I thought you would. Anyway, it was funny.
It was extremely funny. It was extremely crazy. I'm hoping this time that our patron-only show gets back on the rails because we've missed looking at what's on your needles. We do a what's on your needles where we look at what the community's been knitting and we show pictures and everything. We've not done it for 2 shows.
2 shows, I know, because we've just had so much other,
and also
so many other
needles?
things to
Actually,
talk about.
We interviewed my brother Dom on the patron-only show, and he is at because he's done the music for the Open.
Yeah.
So the British Open at St Andrews.
Yeah.
He's going today.
Yeah.
And he's there tomorrow, and he was also there a couple of days ago.
Right.
So I mean, that's such a huge thing for him. I mean, I really hope that he gets big things from it because you know what an amazing thing, and I really hope that he gets to meet some cool people.
I know.
Imagine if he met Tiger Woods.
That's so cool, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, I think I would actually be jealous.
Well, he has met some really famous people. He did a piece on stage with Kiala Settle.
Also, as well,
he was playing the piano for her. I mean,
also, one of the coolest things. I know this might seem stupid, but have you seen Breaking Bad? There's a character in that called Mike Ehrmantraut.
Yeah.
And Mike Ehrmantraut is also in Better Call Saul.
Yes.
And Dom not only met him, they like went out to like a club in Chicago and like spent the evening together and had drinks.
He's so
and
cool.
He took a picture of the two of them together. I'm like,
so
oh
cool.
my goodness. That's Mike Ehrmantraut. That's insane. And he's like a really famous actor. He's been in loads of stuff through the years.
Right.
Anyway, all too much.
Yes,
Now,
very
look,
glamorous.
Yes, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. The end of another huge show. It's been wonderful to see you.
It has.
We will be back in 2 weeks with another Kays Cosy Kitchen.
Yeah.
But for now, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Take
Have a
care
great
of yourselves.
2 weeks.
Keep cool.
Yes.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you soon.
Bye.
Sitting and knitting, it's Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern, get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in